Okay, well, I'm Willie Simpson from Seven Sheds Brewery at Railton on the northwest coast of Tasmania. We've been going since May last year, and in fact we are the first brewery to operate on the northwest coast of Tasmania in 100 years. The last one closed down in 1907, so we thought it was a long time between drinks. At this stage we make 3 different beers. Kentish Ale is our regular brew. Kentish Ale because this area is called Kentish, and a couple of the hops that you might see growing behind me, although we've cut some of them down, a couple of the hop varieties we use and grow here are originally from Kent in England. Another beer we just released a beer called Willy Warmer. This is a dark spiced ale that we did first last winter, and we've just brought this out again because the weather's getting a bit cooler here. That is a strong, dark, spiced ale. And the third beer we make is something called Razzmatazz, and this is a beer infused with raspberries, some local clover honey, and a bit of wheat. The raspberries in fact come from Christmas Hills Raspberry Farm, which is 30 minutes down the road. We also make mead using local honey. And I guess what we like about this area is there is a trail of what we call boutique food, wine and other drink producers. And we, as much as possible, we're trying to use the local produce. So we're using local raspberries, we're using very local hops, we're using local honey in both the mead and one of the beers. And funnily enough, one of our local cheese makers is experimenting with a hop-flavoured cheese using some of our hops. So there's quite a bit of interaction here. We're probably one of the smallest breweries in Australia. I make the beer in 500 litre batches, and we hand bottle the beer, and we also bottle condition it. What that means is when we bottle it, we add a little bit of sugar. We then store the beer in warm cellars at 24 degrees for 8 to 10 days, and what's happening there is the sugar in the beer is reacting with the yeast, causing a secondary fermentation in the bottle, which makes the bubbles, makes the carbonation. Once the beer is fully carbonated, we take it out of the warm cellar and put it in the cool room at 4 degrees for at least 10 days, and that's really to allow the beer to mellow, to settle, for the yeast to drop out of suspension and stick to the bottom. So it's a fairly long process of making beer. It can be 3.5 weeks between brewing, the day we brew, and the day we're happy to release the beer. So we had an interesting problem in the early days where we nearly ran out of beer between batches. We're now brewing more often, and hopefully it won't happen again, although it's hard to tell. The mead I make in very small 100 litre batches, so at any given time I might have 8 or 9 or 10 batches of mead bubbling away, or at a different stage of maturation. I'm making, well, both the beer and the mead, but making them without any chemicals. We don't use any sulfites or any filtration or clarifying agents for the mead, so it can be months before it makes up its mind to finish fermenting and to clear. As you can see, that one's beautifully clear. So everything's very new to us here. We haven't even been open for a year, but we've been very encouraged by the number of local outlets who sell our products for us, and the number of tourists, especially mainland tourists, who have found us and come and visit us, taste our products, talk about how we got started and how we make them. And best of all, they buy some of it and take it away.
And what inspired your passion, Willie, to sort of get into this?
Well, I've 2 reasons. I mean, I've been a serial home brewer for 20 plus years. The mead I've been making, well, pretty much for the last 7 years. I'm also a journalist, so I write about beer and other drinks. And I guess I had the opportunity to visit other, what we call craft breweries. But the other thing was, buying this property 6 years ago, we did what most of these tourists are doing. We went and visited the wineries, the chocolate factory, the cheesemakers, and we saw similar businesses open up in that time. So I guess that encouraged us to see ourselves as part of this Northwest Tassie food trail. And I can tell you it's a bit of a secret in that people down south in Hobart don't even know about it. They won't drive 3 hours up the main highway to the northwest because most of them don't know there's some interesting stuff up here.
Yes.
But that's breaking down, and I think I mean, there's lovely regions all around Tassie that have local produce and drink, but the northwest, you know, as some people know, grows some of the best vegetables, most of which end up as frozen vegetables, but as well as that, an incredible array of fresh produce. And now, you know, even people are beginning to realise with climate change that this sort of area is probably ideal for growing certain wine varieties like Pinot Noir and Pinot Gris, Riesling. So I can think that in the future, Northwest Tassie is going to be much better known as a foodie's paradise.
It will be. Have the best raspberries as well.
Yes, raspberries, berries,
cherries.
apples, cherries.
A whole lot.
But even the other interesting stuff like truffles and ginseng that's being grown around here.
Okay.
So anyway, we'll keep pottering around, and we see our ales and meads as fitting in, if you like, filling in a gap in that whole kaleidoscope. I mean, it's been said to us that you could have a 5-course meal with different alcoholic drinks with each course, all coming from the northwest region. Well, you couldn't have local beer or mead till recently, but there are all those other things like wine, cider, boutique spirits like grappa and apple brandy, whiskey distillery. So it's all here if you know where to look.